But, to be honest, when you talk about the rise of authoritarianism, it's really hard to not talk about Trump. I mean, it's hard to not talk about the Trumpist element of the Republican Party. And I mean, I'm very clear. I was a Republican for longer than I was a Democrat. I left the Republican Party because of torture. So that was the biggest sticking point. And I haven't gone back because most of them haven't really renounced it. So
y'all remember that video that we dropped yesterday about Miss CIA Gail Helt? A former CIA analyst believes that Trump set this whole thing up, the assassination attempt, in order to avoid prison time. And that was her in an interview about a year ago. So last night I dropped this very simple video, right, where we talked about a former CIA analyst by the name of Gail Helt, who basically made a pretty bold statement on Twitter. A journalist had put on their Twitter, Donald literally took a bullet for our country. And then she responded by saying, no, he didn't. He was hit with a bullet because he's desperate to stay out of prison, right? So lady got, I guess, bombarded. A lot of people said, well, Rabbit, is it possible that Elon or somebody took her page down, or that maybe something else took her page down? Maybe she didn't delete her page or something like that. And I was like, that's very possible, right? Like, it's very possible that maybe somebody flagged her. However, the way Twitter is running right now, I feel like that wouldn't necessarily be the case. I honestly think, in my opinion, that she got way too much heat over that comment. Now, let me just say this. She did make another comment to follow up on this comment right here. She had posted this: context, morons. The point was that no, he didn't take a bullet for his country. The point was that he's running to stay out of prison, and thus is why he took a bullet. No one believes he set himself up, and you're a fool for trying to twist this into that. So before she shut down her page, or her page was shut down, because some of y'all believe that maybe somebody else shut her page down, this is what she did. She screenshotted where that comment was at and who she was responding to, and then just a little bit more to that, right? So she's just trying to clear this up. She did an interview with a YouTube channel by the name of The Team House, okay? And it's interesting because, there she talks a little bit about her experience working with the CIA and everything. Very interesting interview. She has worked in issues related to East Asia security, politics, and governance. She has traveled around the world writing for briefs and some of the, policymakers and whatnot. So Gail Helt was actually recruited by the CIA from a PhD program at the University of Arizona. And there she studied political science and international relationships with an emphasis on China. She has a master's in arts in political science from Iowa State and a bachelor's of science in political science from the University of Nebraska. Okay, so she has coordinated security and intelligence studies. So, I mean, the lady has a huge bio on her and whatnot. So I'm going to link this interview in the description box so you guys can watch. But there is a bit of, like, she has pretty strong feelings about how she feels about Trump specifically. In this interview, they talk about the Trump administration and kind of where she stood at and everything. And let me play a little bit of it. And like, she's entitled to her opinions and everything. I just wanted to get more context because, like I said, like, I really wish, instead of her deleting, her Twitter, at least giving more context to what she meant by he was hit with a bullet because he's desperate to stay out of prison. Like, what, especially with somebody who is a writer and a PhD and everything, or with her experience, you would think that she'd be able to give us a little bit more substance from this comment. She's very strong opinions about Trump, and I'm gonna play a little bit of this in this clip. And she did this interview about a year ago, actually 2 years ago, 2022 in September. So it's about almost 2 years ago. Let me play this, and y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Information where we will all agree. So, but yeah, it is hard sometimes because you don't want to use partisan examples. But, to be honest, when you talk about the rise of authoritarianism, it's really hard to not talk about Trump. I mean, it's hard to not talk about the Trumpist element of the Republican Party. And I mean, I'm very clear. I was a Republican for longer than I was a Democrat. I left the Republican Party because of torture. So that was the biggest sticking point. And I haven't gone back because most of them haven't really renounced it. So that's where I am. And I mean, it is hard to get your mind around some of these things. And I certainly don't want to be, confrontational on anything that seems to be partisan. And I think I do pretty well. I've never had students complain to me about this. I've never had my chair or any administrators come and complain and say, hey, a student told me, blah, blah, blah. You said this in class. So when I do.
Ooh. So see, I think this is why it was important for her to maybe put away her Twitter, because she's teaching, y'all. She doesn't want this out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, her feelings, and you're putting it out there on Twitter. And Twitter is like that one place where everybody goes and spews their thoughts about stuff. That's just how it is. But listen, I'm gonna tell you what, I respect what y'all believe as long as you respect what I believe. I'm just here reporting the news for you guys, because there's certain aspects that I think that mainstream media doesn't really touch on. And so it's up to kind of like us YouTubers, bloggers, or whatever that you want to call us, to really bring about some of these issues, right? It's amazing to me that so much of it is controlled by, a lot of the media here is controlled, right? So to have the opportunity to just express yourself in the comments respectfully, right? Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next one. And what do you guys think about her comment? I mean, she's a professor, so she doesn't want to get in trouble. That's why she probably hid her page. Y'all don't tell anybody that she was doing all that on Twitter. Don't get her caught up, because she hid. She said, "Yay, morons, there's more context to what I was trying to say." That's what she said. I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.